today, and I had such big aspirations. Welcome to episode 1017. It's Monday, March 16th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners like you. Pick up a domain name for $1.49 and get a $1 month economy hosting with a free domain at GoDaddy.com. All my GoDaddy specials can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Start supporting this show today by becoming a GNC Insider at geeknewscentral.com/insider. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Here we got a great show lined up for you tonight. Lots to talk about, and a little thing I'm kind of calling bringing the setting the bar, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But you know what comes next? Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go flight.
Microphone.
We're go flight.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go flight.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Showtime.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran. I tell you, this show, for those of you that are didn't check it out live, boy, oh boy, did I just like flub 3 times in a row. But to the magic of podcasting, it all sounds good for all of you that are listening and watching later. Hey everyone, welcome to the show, and I got a great lineup of content for you tonight. It's been kind of a well, for a better explanation, it's been kind of like a weekend of, of course it's Monday, but it's a weekend of like getting caught up. And for those of you that know me, I've just been slammed. I mean, to hear really since about October, and I kind of felt this weekend finally getting my head a little bit more out of water than normal, and getting things really caught up. There's a couple things I had to get done that I owe this audience, and some other stuff. So I'll talk about that. But and I wish you guys could see the studio. Well, maybe I can. Maybe I can show you the studio. Let me, because you guys don't get to see this shot very often. This area back here, for those of you that are watching, on Friday it was probably 2 feet high, and I mean, and there's 2, maybe 3.5, 4-foot tables there that were just completely full of stuff. And I don't know how. This little studio is like a 10 by 12, and it just gets overrun. Vendors send me stuff. It's just paperwork, contracts, you name it. It just gets out of hand. And I brought the shredder in on Friday, and it sat here all weekend, and I was running stuff through it. I think I took 2.5 bags of shred material out of the bin, and so it was just, it's good. The office, I feel I can breathe again. That's part of it. So anyway, I just had to kind of share that with you off the very beginning. If you're brand new to the show, you're thinking, what the heck is this guy talking about? But hey, welcome to the podcast for the very first time. If you're a brand new listener or viewer, what we really do here, and what I really want you to understand, if you're brand new to this audience, is that just like family, we all have our plus and minuses, and I have my own fair share of minuses, and I hope that at the same time I bring a great amount of great stuff to you guys too, from from my commentary and perspective that I share with you twice a week. But if you're checking out the show for the first time today, really the most important thing you can do as a brand new listener is get subscribed. And, it's real easy to do so. You just go over to geeknewscentral.com and you get hooked up with the audience by subscribing. You subscribe to the show. That way you'll never miss a single episode. We want you to do that. And that is really the best way to stay engaged on a consistent basis with the show is by being subscribed and basically listening to the show every Tuesday and Friday when this thing gets on the street. So the newsletters are there available to you as well. The newsletter contains everything I cover in the show. So get subscribed to the newsletter, and it's just an email blast with all the links. It saves you coming to the website. If you want to come to the website, that's just as fine as well. We want you to come over and visit often, stay long, leave comments, tweet stuff that we're doing, put stuff up on Facebook, Google Plus, everything like that. So we want you to be engaged. And really, for all of you, as you guys send me email, and if you've been listening for a long time or not, I've been stressing this for a while now. I want to know you, and it's important to me that that you guys know my everything really, and I just I'm looking for enlightenment, I guess, from all of you on your personalities and your what you do for your business and what you do for work and what you're into. I think that's important. Is we're a big family here. We try to all really kind of connect as deep as we can. So. With that, again, a big warm welcome to the Johanna, the longtime listeners and viewers of the show. Thanks for being here. And, of course, again, if you're brand new, check out geeknewscentral.com. You can follow me on Twitter. That's just really the easiest way sometimes. Whoops, let me flip this back. It helps if I put myself up there. At Geek News. And I'm kind of slow on the switch tonight, aren't I? So let's get this set up so I can do this correctly. And, yeah, there we go. So now the system's set up. So, again, follow me on Twitter at Geek News. You can email the show, too. That's the, real great way to do that at geeknews@gmail.com. Geeknews@gmail.com is the place to email me. Anytime on any comment, plus or minus, smack me around, whatever you feel I deserve. And we definitely want you to be part of the Ohana here. Of course, I'm on the Roku with the Tech Podcast channel, Google TV. Really, on almost any of your set-top box, you can watch the show. Via Apple TV, get subscribed, of course, as well. But tonight's show, of course, is sponsored in part by our good friends over at GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy's been with us now. We're fast approaching 10 years of sponsorship of this show by our good friends over at GoDaddy.com. And really, without them, they would not allow me to do what I'm doing, some new things I'm about to talk a little bit about tonight. And really making this show and the whole system work and keeping the lights on here. So we want to thank GoDaddy for their longtime sponsorship of the show. But at the same time, we got some great deals for you. Again, $1 a month, managed WordPress hosting with a free domain. That's $12 a year. You get a free domain and a managed WordPress hosting account. $12. Now look at the disclaimers on the website so you know what the price is going to go up to after those 12 months. Or you can get a .com for $1.49 by using the promo code GEEK149. That saving is going to basically, get you that .com cheap at the very, very beginning. Figure out if you're going to want to use it for a variety of different reasons. Sometimes I buy domains at $1.49 and pure speculation that maybe I'm going to do with something. And then oftentimes, maybe after a year, I decide that I'm not going to use that. Maybe I don't even renew them. But again, we got all these different promos going on. You get a website builder, domain, Microsoft Outlook email address by again, their website builder product is incredible. And I'm going to be talking a lot more about the website builder product as we move forward here throughout the year. It's a big focus by GoDaddy right now. And I think if you go over there and take a look at that product offering, all you got to do is basically come to the geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy page, and you'll get an idea by the offerings by just clicking on the promo code. That'll take you to the website to give you a bunch of details on that. At the same time, again, we got the $1 a month WordPress hosting, $1 a month economy hosting. We even got some 50% off plans. So those are the deals that are cooking right now. And you can find out, again, all that information at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And, if you want to get online today, they make it so simple. I'm not kidding. It's just almost like click, 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 yes, no, put some information in, pick a template. And they make it so that you don't have to have like this big, oh my God, I got to hire a developer. No. That's what it's not all about. What it's about is turnkey systems They get you up running fast, whether it be a blog, whether it be a business website, whether it be a shopping cart, whether it be email list. The list goes on and on and on and on. They've got everything you need to get online and have a great product. And again, get online today. That GOT code, that GOT code, and you follow that up with a with basically GNC GOT. GNC GOT is the code to get that website builder account. But I thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at Geek News Central, and for all of you, your continued support of them as they continue to support the show by basically from the stuff that you guys buy and purchase over there. That's what makes the whole thing work. Big circle of life here with the podcast. Okay, so let me just talk just a little bit about the solar stuff. You guys know that I put a solar system in. Total amount of money that I spent on putting 32 panels on the roof was $32,000, $32,000 and change. Since that install, my bill went from $400 and some change, $400 to $450 a month, to basically $18, or about $19 for the connection fee that is required here in Hawaii, basically just to be still plugged in and to draw from the grid at night. We push during the day. So I've just been absolutely more than happy with the system's performance. And as you guys remember, I did about $17,000 wrote out of my checking account to pay for the initial down payment, and then I financed $15,000 on a 1% low interest loan for the first year with I think it goes up to like 3 or 4% if I continued it for the follow-on 4 years, a 5-year loan. And the goal from the very, very beginning of putting the solar system was wait until the taxes were done to see what I would get back in a refund in order to basically pay that additional amount off. So I'm just going to tell you guys, and you can infer what you will, but personal taxes have been with the tax people for, going on a week or whatever it is now. And I talked with the gal today, and she had a couple of questions on a couple of things, and there was one 1099 that she, so basically we're talking, and she says, I got your personal taxes ready to go over to the CPA for his review, and basically they got people in the office, and then my CPA does the final review and signs off on the tax return. I said, what's it look like? And she goes, okay. She says, you weren't able to use all your credit with your state taxes, but she says you're going to get about $7,000 back on your state taxes. And I was like, woohoo! Now, I was originally going to get a little bit of money back from them to begin with. It wouldn't have been a lot. I try to make my tax bill so it's at the end of the year, I don't pay them or they don't pay me. I try to make it as straight, and I don't like lending the Uncle Sam money. So so $7K. Okay, I'm stoked about that, and I kind of figured I might get back maybe $3,000, and the state's a little different than federal, just because it's a little harder to predict. But the federal is the one where I'm always try to be even, Steven. They pay me a little bit, or I pay them a little bit. But on the federal, she says, hold on to your hat. She says, you're getting $12,000 back from federal. So, a grand total of $19K back from both a Fed and state. And I was just like, whoa! She says, now you've used everything on the federal. You won't get any more. You've used it all in one shot. So if we look at this, and again, I asked her what the deltas would be, what I would have paid and what I wouldn't have paid without the credit, so that I know exactly how much money I got back. And it just is what the tax, the solar folks said. I would get about $15K back, plus or minus a little bit, was what my tax credit would be on the system. So what we've done, just so that you guys are track while scanning here, is that so the $32,000 system essentially now becomes a $17K, $16,500 to $17K system that I will pay out of pocket. So if I go back, and I originally thought that my payback would be like 3 years, 6 months. So let's just look at that. So basically what I'm out is the money that I wrote a check for, right? So let's just say 17,000 at this point. Let's just use that as the number, because it's 15,000 is what I'm getting back in refunds from the tax and so forth. So if we divide that out by about $440, is about what my average bill was. The payback is now 38 months. So I had figured 3 years, 6 months. Now I'm figuring it's 3 years, 3 years, 3 months payback to be even Steven, all my money back in my pocket, and then to the plus every month after that, $440. Now, granted, Hawaii is different than the rest of you that living in the lower 48. You guys are paying 1/3 of what I pay for electricity. I pay 36 cents a kilowatt. I think I talked with someone the other day, they were paying 11 cents, and the person was paying 9 cents. So your payback on a system like this, with the way the tax credits are at least working in Hawaii, because each state is different on what they give you, if a state gives you any PV credits or not. So probably 9 or 10 years would be an average payback in the United States based upon, of course, you wouldn't have to put in as big a system either because of the way your bills are, what your bill is each month. So that just gives you a rough here of what you're looking at, the difference between Hawaii and the mainland. So it kind of comes full circle. So I'm going to get the tax refund back. Boom, I'm going to go to the bank, going to pay that off. So I'm basically going to be, free and clear of any note. But at the same time, then what will end up happening is I will be then, that $400 to $440 each month that I would have been paying out now would be is a plus back in my checking account. So that just gives you an idea of what the solar deal is here. I've always been pretty frank with you guys on that. The state of Hawaii taxes are pretty brutal. From that standpoint, it's not a cheap place to live. So that gives you just kind of a thought process on how solar worked here in Hawaii. And, this weekend, while kind of, when you're doing stuff in the studio, and I'm sorry I'm taking a long time before we get into the tech today, but as I'm sitting here in the studio, I'm just thinking about, okay, what do we do next? And I had gotten a couple of inquiries after CES this year, and talking with some other folks about some potential business opportunities, doing some live streaming events for different venues, maybe some different companies. Could be corporate events. Just a couple of days in, a couple of days out, and looking to see what I could do there. And so today, I pulled the trigger on buying a TriCaster Mini, and I basically bought the entire kit. So it's part of my ability to invest in the future and what I'm doing here and the stuff I'm producing, making myself more mobile and being able to go and outlaying that as a corporate investment this year, which is a decent one for us. And basically going to probably take on some of these small events like this initially and see what we can do, and need the tools to do it, and that device works out perfect for me. So that's kind of what's kind of going on here, as this whole Geek News Central, new media show, the Gadget Professor, Robot Underpants, the Elder Divide, the Health Tech Weekly, all this process continues to grow. We're going to have some tools for the team to use on some events and really step the quality up for them, and really kind of make some things happen here. So I'm pretty excited about that. I owe 20 of you some envelopes. Those envelopes are written. I just need to go to the ATM and pull cash out, because you are getting cash to go in them, and they were already set once, and then, long story short, I needed some petty cash quickly, and I pulled the money out of the envelopes, so I got to redo that and get those in the mail. So that is still in process. So just to let you know, I haven't forgot about you. And also for our kahunas, we've got those laser engravings are ready to be picked up, and I need to get that done. So I'm pretty caught up here, so finally I can get some of the stuff done that I owe you guys as well. Podcast awards are still going on. I think there's about another, I don't know, they did like an incredible long time on voting this year for that. So that's still going on. And I will appreciate all the listener support of the show. It's greatly appreciated. So anyway, that's kind of my stack of just stuff to kind of chit chat with you guys tonight before I get into tech. And I know it's a lot, but just a scheduling notice, the show will be on the road next week. There will be no video next week. There will only be 2 audio shows next week. So be prepared for that. There will be 2 shows next week. Come high or water. But I will be on the East Coast, be in Washington, D.C., and a couple of other places next week. Probably will not have time for meetups because my schedule is very, very full to maximize time back on the East Coast. But we'll be back. I just need to even look what the weather is. I don't know if you guys are still getting snow or if it's starting to melt or what. But anyway, that's what's going on. 2 shows next week from the East Coast, but I will be, there'll be audio only. All right? Okay. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and get into the stack of tech. And I've got a lot of good stuff tonight for you. So it's been worthy of the wait. Those of you new, we always spend 10 or 15 minutes just chatting here at the beginning of the show. This is what this show's about. We're about a big family here. And again, it's the style of the show for 1,017 interviews. If you ever want to just skip the front stuff, just slide the thing to 15 minutes and we get into this, what we start right now with. Okay, so Freedom of Information Act. We talked a little bit about that a couple of shows ago, and on how with the the swirling drama that's going on in Washington D.C. about how the Freedom of Information Act works and how it's implemented, and as us as citizens, what we can request from our government through a Freedom of Information Act. It appears that today, according to USA Today, the White House is removing a federal regulation that subjects its Office of Administration to the Freedom of Information Act, making official a policy both under the President Bush and under President Obama to reject requests for records to that office. The White House said that the cleanup of the Freedom of Information Act regulations is consistent with court rulings that hold that the office, in other words, the presidential office, is not subject to the transparency laws. The office handles, among other things, White House record-keeping duties like the archiving of emails. But the timing of the move has obviously raised eyebrows here among transparency advocates coming on a National Freedom of Information Day and during the national debate over the preservation of the president's records. It's also Sunshine Week, an effort by news organizations and watchdog groups to highlight issues of government transparency. The irony of this being Sunshine Week is not lost or should not be lost on any of us, says Annie Weisman of the Liberal Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, or CREW. It is completely out of step with the president's supposed commitment to transparency, she said. This is a critical office, especially if you want to know, for example, how the White House is dealing with email. So they have removed the Freedom of Information Act from the administration and will not be complying with Freedom of Information requests to the executive branch of our U.S. government. Unlike other offices within the White House, this is crazy. So this is what's going on, is that once again, transparency is about secrecy and not letting the public know what has been discussed on our behalf. There's always been, limited amount of information they've got out of it, but you're not getting any more. Now, again, this is not a first. The prior administration did this as well. So this is a bipartisan stiff arming of the Freedom of Information Act out of the executive branch. And so that's pretty eye-opening. And so I guess the Office of Administration was ruled to be not subject to the Freedom of Information Act by a federal appeals court in 2009. So apparently this has got legal backing as well. So just your government at work, ladies and gentlemen. All administrations, all these folks are just so, it just amazes me. Well, Twitter, boy oh boy, they're playing hardball, and they have declawed Meerkat and playing a little bit harder with them. We talked a little bit about it on the last show, but basically what they've done is they have rate limited them so that folks that are using Meerkat are not really able to get all the information that was originally available. So basically, Twitter's choking off the video streaming app after buying rival app Periscope. And but boy, oh boy, this is not good. Now, apparently, they're not the only social network making acquisitions. There's some other ones going on too, because Facebook bought shopping app The Find, and BlackBerry is it's working on some tablets and so forth. But we've got Twitter essentially playing hardball with Mercat, which is, I guess, not surprising. It's all about who's going to win at this point. Hey, we talked a lot about last show, of course, on the MacBook, and I if I was saying MacBook Air on the last show, I apologize. It was obviously the MacBook that was getting the single port. I still laugh about that. But over on VentureBeat, there's a analysis over there that's a big Mac fan. He says, why change my mind about the new MacBook? And I think this is worth bringing up something here I want to show you guys. And for those of you that are watching, I'm pulling out my beautiful Dell XPS. And what we have here, let me just show you guys. We've got a locking port on the side. We have a USB 3.0 port here. We have a SD card slot. Now let me turn it around. And on the back side, we have, let me look here. Oh, we've got a Thunderbolt port, a power port. We got another USB 3.0 port. And then we have a dual-headed plug that'll work as a microphone or as a headset. All told, quite a few ports available on this beautiful Dell XPS aluminum and carbon fiber laptop that I've absolutely fell in love with. Of course, I do want to say that this Dell was provided to me. This laptop was provided to me by Dell, and it is quite the envy of a lot of my MacBook Air friends. But now, my Dell XPS 13-inch is whipping up in a big way. Not on the MacBook Air, but on the MacBook. And I got a 4K display with that, and the MacBook has 2304 by 1440. And this analyst is saying, I got to thinking about this thing, and why would I want to buy this? Because I can't plug an extra monitor and charge it at the same time. I got to buy an $80 adapter. It's got a Core M 1.16 or 1.2 gig Intel Core M processor, aka the Broadwell line of chips. And even though they're the 1.4 nanometer technology, he says, why would I do that? He says, this thing is like a Chromebook. So I think Apple has got some trouble. And I was talking with some folks on Facebook the other day about this, and there's Dell. Yeah, everyone talk about Dell, be a piece of crap, Dell, and this and that. I'm like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. Go look at this laptop I'm talking about. And finally, he hushed up and he went over and looked at one, and he looked at the specs, and he was quiet. Obviously, it's OS 10 in Windows. Let's be frank, but I will be the first to admit, I got a 17-inch MacBook Pro here, right? I travel with big laptops, but I have been gaining freedom by using this small laptop. I walk out the house with wrong thing, duh. And for those of you who are watching, just with a sleeve. That's all I walk out with the house with, and it lasts all day. I can rerun this for 8 hours, no problem, and I still have battery left. And it's just a whole different game for me. So I have to admit, I was doubting. I really didn't think I would make that big of a impression on me, but it did. But anyway, this Mac enthusiast, he's like, no. But, he's probably going to have to buy a MacBook Pro. I think Apple's made a huge, huge mistake here. I might be wrong. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Those of you who are MacBook fans. And again, I don't want to dog on you too much. I'm teasing. Just don't get upset. And I haven't sold off to the man. I really do like this XPS. So the question I have for all of you that are huge Mac proponents, what do you think about this MacBook? I want to hear from you. Please tell me how I'm wrong about this thing. Now, as soon as this thing's available at the Apple Store, I'll go and play with it. I'm going to go and run it. I'm going to run some apps. I'm going to see how it works. I'm going to see what kind of performance it has. I'm sure we're going to see some benchmarks here soon as well. But when you got Mac guys that are longtime fans are saying, hold up here, That is concerning, that they may have more trouble on their hands than they really wish to admit. Now, at the same time, they've got more issues, and I've got a Retina MacBook here, and I'm looking at it right now, and I don't have any of the problems that some Retina MacBook users or MacBook Pro users are having. But apparently, some MacBook Pro users are complaining of the anti-reflective display wearing off on their Retina machine. And this looks really, really bad. I mean, holy cow. So if you have, of course, if you have Apple Care, they'll probably fix this. But if you don't, you're looking at a trip to the Genius Bar and letting go of your laptop for a few days to get that fixed. And Apple's saying it might be because of some cleaning materials, but over 600 people have had issues with this so far. So, and most folks are having an issue up and around the camera. So keep an eye on your MacBooks, okay? Because if you got a MacBook Pro and it's got the Retina screen, and these are machines that are 2013, 2014 machines, so right around the same age of I think my MacBook Pro. Let me look at the date on it. Does it tell? It says I got to go about this Mac. It hasn't popped up yet. It is what year is it? Does it say? Oh, it's a 2011 machine. So that tells you how old my MacBook Pro is. I got a 5-year-old machine here. So, but I'm not, obviously, there must not be a Retina machine. Maybe it is. But Retina machines are having an issue. Also, the new MacBook single port comes with that new USB Type-C plug. And this is including both PCs and MacBooks. So this is not exclusive to OS X, but there's the same security issues because it used some of the same underlying technology that's being used in the USB, being able to hack a machine through USB. And they say that this is even a little more unsecure because how deep it ties into the back end of their system. So we have to watch out for this. And some polling company is calling. So we'll see how long it takes them to answer the phone. Oh, they stopped. Okay. That's what's happening here now. Polling companies are calling and wanting to ask questions. And so what I do, hang up on them. All right. If you are interested in the Apple Watch, an appointment will not be needed to try the Apple Watch at the Mac store. You'll be able to go in, just try one on. So that's good news. So how many of you are going to make the order on April 10th? I probably will do. I probably will. Haven't decided which one to get. You guys want to help me pick one out? Tell me which one to get. I can't go too high. I probably keep the budget in the $500 range because I know there's some options with bands and stuff. So you guys let me know which one I should get. Which one you think will be good for me? Let's kind of crowdsource that as a Ohana and see which one to get. All right, YouTube made a big announcement today saying YouTube cards might finally get you click video links. So lots of YouTube videos carry annotations with links to related clips or other websites, but how many of them do you actually visit? I've done a few. I've clicked a few. Probably, and it's if I get on a series that was funny, or sometimes I get into watching a certain type of video and I want to see more like it. I like watching aviation videos. I like to see even some of the camera action from our troops over there when they're in helicopters and so forth. Like watching some of that type of stuff. But YouTube is rolling out cards that both look much nicer compared to text boxes and are available anytime, not just at specific moments. They'll work on mobile too, so you won't miss important contextual info just because you're on the phone. YouTube isn't ditching old school annotations yet. It wants us to basically test the card feature first, but it's clear that those days may be numbered, and I just don't have time to go in and annotate that stuff. So I don't foresee my videos having cards on. Although it would be kind of cool to every article I talk about basically have the link pop up. But, come to geeknewscentral.com if you're on YouTube watching this video and you want the links to everything I'm covering tonight. We'll just send you over there that way. There's a whole stack in the show notes for this show. Microsoft is starting to talk about how it will make money giving away software. And it's an interesting model here. Involves 4 parts: acquire, engage, enlist, and monetize. Acquire is Microsoft's way of getting people to use the product for free by giving it away, like Office for iPad. Engage is Microsoft's plan to get them hooked on a product and leverage other parts of its ecosystem to keep someone using their service. Enlist is a simple way of finding fans to keep the circle going, and then monetizing is figuring out who will pay for subscription versions of the service they're hooked into. It sounds simple, but I think we all know that, I'm using Google Docs a lot. I'm using not so much their spreadsheet product, the Google Drive and a variety of different stuff. It's all free. I don't know. It's some of the core stuff I've used on Microsoft for a long time. I'm paying for Office 365 now. And it's just because that was the option. And so I guess they're going to make money off that way. But I don't know what other stuff are they going to have available. Skype. I usually use Skype for, free. I don't necessarily use the paid version of Skype. So, where's that going to tie in here? I think it's an interesting move. If nothing else, they get everyone up on Windows 10, as many as they can, in this next release. And then if they have to come back in and charge for operating systems again, then they can do so. But, once you give it away, it's hard to flip the other way around. All right, ladies, I know most of the audience has not went to South by Southwest. News is coming out of South by Southwest this year that it's a little bit of a tech dud. There's a few things that are kind of trending, but not a lot of stuff. But one thing that I did find was a blog post about 14 female powerhouses that you need to meet at South by Southwest. Now, obviously you're not there. These may be some ladies that, in reading through this list, look pretty powerful in the space. So maybe some ladies you want to follow on Twitter, on Facebook. And I think it's going to be, I think it's good for the ladies to do that. And I sent this link of this to my daughter, and I said, hey, check all these successful women out and look at the topics they were talking about at South by. And when she gets old enough to partake in alcoholic beverages, I probably will take her to South by. My daughter would love that kind of event. But I think that there's a good list here. It's Princess Rima bin Laden Al Saud. She's from Saudi Arabia. She's a Saudi Arabian-based women's health activist. I don't know if she lives in Saudi. Yeah, she says she lives in Saudi Arabia. Ava DuVernay, the director of Oscar-nominated film Selma. And I'm going to destroy some of these folks. Paula Antonelli. She's a Shadid. Oh my gosh. Shadid. Ingrid Vanderbilt. Allison Leichter. Heather Brunner. Bethany Joe Clark. Elizabeth Gore. Kate Walmsley. Sarah Wilson. Sophia Armuso. Haley Barna. And Carly Kloss are 14 of the folks that the folks at Huffington Post Women are recommending that the ladies, follow or look up if they're at South by. But anyway, just wanted to provide that for the ladies of the show. Switching to a more tactical, in-your-face type of stuff, the Pentagon says that they want an unhackable drone, specifically unhackable drone helicopters by 2018. What about unhackable drones? Not just drone. But the story basically goes, losing a UAV or two to enemy forces become unavoidable costs of modern warfare. Of course, it's probably better than having a person inside the aircraft, but there's still a big difference between having and what they call a scan eagle, which is a remote helicopter turning up, and say a Pentagon's autonomous MH6 Little Birds. Namely because only one of those is armed to the talons and chain guns, Hydra rockets, and Hellfire missiles. That's why DARPA engineers are working to harden the Little Bird's electronic defenses against external hacking to keep the pint-sized killing machine from going AWOL. So according to a report from NextGov, engineers are recoding the Little Bird's communications computer to prevent anyone other than a designated DoD operator from seizing control of the vehicle. Just imagine, you got a bunch of drones in the air, and all of a sudden they're taken over by an enemy force and flipped on you, and your same weapon system being used against you. This has got to be ironclad. we cannot in any way possible allow these drones to be taken over and controlled by someone else. But they're all digital communication stuff, so it's going to have to be locked tight. So I hope they have their security game on when it comes to deploying these in a tactical sense. I saw a video today, and it's an article on nextbigfuture.com that just frankly blows me away. And this is like straight out of science fiction. And I read a lot of sci-fi, and they talk about nanobots, they talk about reprogramming genes, and all this stuff in that those sci-fi articles, making humans stronger than they're supposed to be, a new generation of humanoid. Again, this is all fantasy stuff that's in sci-fi books. But Ido Bachet has made an announcement that DNA nanobots will be utilized in a critically ill leukemia patient. The patient, who has been given roughly 6 months to live, will receive an injection of DNA nanobots designed to interact and destroy leukemia cells while causing virtually zero collateral damage against healthy tissue. According to Bachet, his team has successfully tested their method in cell cultures in animals and written 2 papers on the subject, one in Science and one in Nature. Contemporary cancer therapies involve, of course, invasive surgeries and blasted drugs and chemotherapy, radiation, and can be painful and damaging to the body as the disease itself. So if their approach proves successful in humans and is backed by more research in the coming years, the team's work could signal a transformational moment in cancer and other treatments. So this guy was at Geek Time conference talking about this, and it happened in 2014, and talks about this in detail. But they are actually going to use this on a human. Now, they believe that they've got these things programmed so that the body won't attack them and kill the nanobots themselves. But these nanobots will be, and this is like, woo, this is large on the like holy cow scale, is that this nanomedicine is programmable, and they're going to be able to target those specific cells. And this is incredible. I mean, this is really where it really gets the wow factor is like up there, So I'm going to try to keep track of this. I set up a search today. I have a little thing that I use to basically track different topics and stuff, and I put nanobots and this specifically this guy's name, and going to track what they're doing here. I hope we can get an idea when the study's going to come out and the results and so forth. But, this is off the chart cool. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I just did not realize that they were that close to be able, and I don't think this is in the United States. I think this is overseas someplace. It's a little more lenient in allowing this type of testing to go on. But they feel in a couple of years, they hope to have a spinal cord repair working in animals and shortly thereafter in humans as well. And this is working in tissue cultures, and so this is just like, whew. So they're going to inject 1 trillion 50 nanometer nanobots in a syringe. Will be injected again into people to perform cellular surgery. This is amazing, and they actually feel that some of the drugs that have been withdrawn have been because they have excessive toxicity. But if they can put these drugs in smaller quantities in these nanobots and use them to go after stuff that may not to be able to be affected by the nanobot necessarily eating a cell per se, could go in and deliver the medicine point blank. This is just off the chart, wow, cool stuff. And they say they can control these things with I'm looking for the April 1st post on this thing. But this is March 16th article, folks. Link will be up in the show notes. It's wow me. It really is. A little more on science. There's a total solar eclipse happening this week, and they got to be in a certain part of the world to see it. The March 20th total solar eclipse will be the first event since November 3rd, 2013, and it's going to basically go primarily over the North Atlantic and Arctic Oceans, beginning off the southern tip of Greenland and then winding its way counterclockwise to the northeast, passing between Iceland and the UK. The shadow will then pass over the Danish-owned Faroe Islands, the sparsely inhabited Norwegian island group of Svalbard, and then it will hook counterclockwise toward the northwest, where it will leave the Earth's surface just short of the North Pole. So not a lot of viewing opportunities here. But there is going to be an online event. The online, and they call it SLOO, Community Observatory, will broadcast live views of the solar eclipse through its slooh.com website beginning at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 0830 GMT. So it's a big show for a small audience, and for those of us that are willing to get up early and watch it. Hey, of course, we had some astronauts come back, the Soyuz here, the last couple of days. And we got a loud vehicle just driving by. You can tell I've got the window open. And so some incredible, this is a really cool picture. The half moon is captured behind the Soyuz spacecraft, returning 3 crew members to Earth. Again, this was on March 11th. And so it's got some additional stuff here where they this is really cool. A single parachute with the Soyuz hanging below it, just above the clouds, and getting ready to land in Kazakhstan. And of course, then the nice warm reception on the Kazakhstan tundra in their traditional reclining chairs, all warmed up. And anyway, that that's the images from NASA. They got some more on their website, and of course, I'll have the link up for you to take a peek. But cool beans. All right, let me try something here. Yeah, let's do that. A little different view for those of you watching this show. And we'll try to use that for a little bit here. Looks like that white balance is off on that camera just a little bit. All right, baffling Y shape on Venus may finally be solved. And basically, because of Venus, it's one full rotation of the planet every 247 Earth days, as compared to the clouds above the surface move much, much faster, and they figured that this Y shape that's on Venus may actually be from centrifugal force. And they did some modeling studies, and I've been trying to figure this out for a long time. And finally, someone says, "Well, maybe it's just centrifugal force that's doing it. You know, the surface is moving so slow, it's causing this." And they think that might actually be the case. So anyway, sometimes it's just like, okay, that was hard. Next, let's move on. Mercury's odd surface features mapped by a NASA spacecraft. 2 new maps of Mercury taken by NASA probe have identified never seen formations on the planet's surface. The previously unidentified regions of Mercury have compositions that differ significantly from the crust around them. And you must have got someone who's testing their car out. They're going back here, running up the motors. But anyway, these known as geochemical terrains, these zones provide insight into the formation of the outer skin of the planet. The maps appear in 2 new studies, which suggest that the most recently identified features may have been formed not from the planet's crust, but from just below in the mantle. So they've got some detailed explanation, and basically where they have magnesium and silicone and potential uranium and high magnesium areas, and basically areas where there's different detectable, what's the word here I'm looking for? Surface components. That's not the word I'm looking for. I'm such a knucklehead. I want to say ingredients. I am such an idiot. Oh my God. Send me back to high school. All right, over on Android Central. Niantic Labs, of course, I'm a big Ingress fan. Haven't been able to play it very much lately. But Niantic Labs announced beta for their latest AR game called Endgame. And basically, the website's up, but the game is not going to be out until this fall. And so this is a spinoff here. And if you can play online initially, and doing clues and building characters and stuff, and a little later this year they'll have the app out, and I'm sure that a lot of Ingress people will make the dive into Endgame. I just haven't been following it enough to know what's going on. Again, the difference between Ingress and a lot of other games is you have to leave your house. You have to walk around. You have to go places and actually see things and do things. You just can't sit and play with your controller. That's not the way it works. All right, there's a good article over on BGR. It talks about what happens when a long time iPhone user switches to a $90 Android phone. And I think this is a good read because, just like I picked up a $80 Android phone, and I call them a burner phone because that's what we use for CES. Um, that phone was pretty doggone good for a burner phone, and it still works fine. And my kid uses it around here now, just on Wi-Fi. But iPhone user John Herman has basically gave his fascinating account of what it was like going from an older iPhone to a BLU Advanced 4.0 Unlock Dual SIM phone, which he picked up on Amazon after reading a review of it claiming that it wasn't the best, but for $80, who cares? And he went through kind of the whole discussion. And it turns out that $80 burner phone really had some issues after about a month or so. And he went to a little higher. He bought another phone for like $150, $160, which is a lot better. But he does realize that there is value for paying at least decent money for smartphones, since the dirt cheap models aren't yet at the point where they can offer a reasonable alternative in terms of performance. But it is a pretty highly entertaining read, and I'll have the link in the show notes for you to check out. And it's some of the same experiences he had, my kids had, with some of their initial phones that we got them when they first started using smartphones, and we were just buying phones that were essentially throwaway phones. All right, talk about an article over in the Register talking about the top-level domains. The latest wave of auctions for new internet extensions produced some interesting results. Google took part in each of the 6 top-level domains available to the highest bidder, but just one. They got .phd. And why they want .phd, I don't know. But they left behind .free, .tube, and also, what else? I guess what was the other one? .free and .tube. Google still in contention for another 3 TLDs, .diy, do it yourself, .mba, and .srl, but the fact that the search giant continues not to outbid others has led to speculation over whether the company's plans, it appears, maybe a little bit rolled back. Now, that speculation was fed by an article last week in the New York Post confirming GoDaddy's long-delayed IPO plans are back on. So a source familiar with Google's plans, probably a GoDaddy exec, said the search firm was not planning to overtake GoDaddy in the domain selling business. So that's kind of an interesting move because that was a concern, was GoDaddy was going to be competing with Google, and they're, a 800-pound gorilla in space. But so if that means the IPO's back on, must be GoDaddy's winning the number of top-level domains that they want to buy. But the biggest registry operator in the market, Donuts, picked up .family, .fyi, yes, for your information. Another big beast, Uniregistry, outbid everyone else for .mom. So those folks have just under 2 months to get those live. Of course, 2 months if it wants to cash in on U.S. Mother's Day on Sunday, May 10th. So all the auctions were private. Don't know how much they paid, $5 to maybe to $10 million a piece per top-level domain. So the organization's next auction is set for 25 March, and there are 6 top-level domains expected to be resolved: .gmbh, .diy, .mba, .ping, .baseball, and .srl. I'm waiting for .show. That's the one I'm waiting for. Shh. And I picked up 4 more podcast .somethings here recently. I think that brings my total to about 15. So I've been buying a lot of podcast domains. Why? It's an addiction. All right, there's some consternation out there. Apple's Eddie Q is not a fan of the new Steve Jobs documentary. He is saying this is not how his friend Steve Jobs should be portrayed. He was very, very negative. I guess he got a view of it at South by. But anyway, that's kind of the word out of that. He says, very disappointed in SJ Man in the Machine, an inaccurate and mean spirited view of my friend. It's not a reflection of the Steve I knew. Queued Up also tweeted about the upcoming biography Becoming Steve Jobs, which has been getting a lot of praise ahead of its release. Apple pundit John Gruber describes it as a smart, accurate, informative insight and at times utterly heartbreaking. And Q seems to agree that it's an accurate portrait. The rest of us will have to wait until it's released on March 24th to judge for ourselves, but at least you know that it has the Q seal of approval. Again, Eddie Q at Q on Twitter. He says, Best Pictorial is about to release Becoming Steve Jobs book. Well done, and first to get it right. So I'm going to add that to my Amazon buy list, and I will definitely be probably reading that here in the next week and a day or so. Patent trolls are still going to court, and its trends are down. They're not getting as much money. But patent holder Giant Intellectual Ventures has been basically going to court with some big boys. They went head-to-head on Motorola Mobility in a mistrial, but now that case is tied up again in a new court hearing, a new trial where they're basically Intellectual Ventures is bringing on more patents to throw at Motorola, so we'll see what that happens with. But it's just these patent trolls are really making it hard, and you just pray you never have one of those lawsuits dropped on you because it just will about kill you. Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey will decide if Tesla can sell directly to consumers. So in April of last year, Tesla was banned from directly selling its cars to New Jersey consumers. Governor Chris Christie said that at the time, the company was operating outside the state law, which mandates a car be sold through a state-authorized dealer. Now the New Jersey Senate has passed a bill today that would allow Tesla Motors to resume direct sales to consumers in the state. The bill has already passed the state's General Assembly, so Christie now has 45 days to sign or veto. So we'll see where he comes down on this. Christie tried to shift the blame for the ban on the state legislature before in saying, I'm not pushing Tesla out. The state legislature did, but Christie said at a town hall meeting, he said this at a town hall meeting last year. So what now they want to know is whether he's going to sign. Now, New Jersey is not the only front line in this battle that Tesla is waging. The company has been banned from direct sales in states like Virginia, Arizona, Texas through legislatures, and later two are attempting to change that. And of course, Michigan, not unexpected with the big three automakers there. So the bill in New Jersey to allow Tesla direct sales comes with some limits. Tesla can operate only 4 dealers, and at least one of those has to have a service center. So if you're looking for Tesla in Jersey, that's the word on the street. At the same time, Tesla is ending Model S range anxiety. In a tweet this morning, Tesla founder Elon Musk promised a new over-the-air software update would end range anxiety for their entire Model S fleet. And they're going to have a press release, I believe, on Thursday at 9 a.m. to announce exactly what he's referring to in his little teaser. At the same time, the car market, Hertz has installed cameras and microphones in rental cars. Obviously, that should make all of us go, what? Turns out that these cameras, even though they're pointed at the drivers, will not be turned on unless you have trouble with the vehicle and you're doing some sort of a service alert or trying to get help. But consumers are probably just a little bit concerned about basically any vehicle that we rent having the ability to listen and watch us. I don't fully understand what Hertz is thinking here, especially when they say the system is not activated, it doesn't work, there's no way they can be turned on. And if they turn them on, the customer has to touch the camera. But why put them in the first place if it's not being used? So we'll see. On its Twitter feed, Hertz has been trying to answer questions from concerned customers. The answers, however, still leave something in the air. For example, a Twitter called at Mirlik noted, news about spying cameras in car rentals a complete turnoff, to which Hertz replied, Hertz added the cameras a feature of the feature of the Never Lost 6 in the event it was decided in the future to activate the live agent. to the concern that this is hardly, so obviously it's a little bit of a weird response, but question your Hertz dealer if you are renting a vehicle from them. All right, Office 2016 preview is out. Not a lot of changes, except some of the colors are a little bit weird. Those of you that use Outlook would expect the color coordination to be yellow, and it's not necessarily that color right now. With Office Word specifically being blue, the drawing feature being a little purple, spreadsheets and stuff being green. But right now, the Outlook preview is a light blue. So just a little bit of a weird color scheme. Does that mean that Outlook is now going to be blue versus yellow? Not that that will cause any confusion at all. At the same time, Windows 10 is being announced is going to be giving you more storage. They found a way by looking at how much RAM is in your computer, the speed of your machine. They're going to be able to compress the amount of stuff that the operating system is using. So they're saying that Microsoft's managed to give around 1.5 gig of storage for 32-bit systems and 2.6 gig on 64-bit machines. The same savings and compression will also apply to phones running Windows 10 in the future. So they're basically kind of being able to figure out by how fast your processor is, if they can scrunch the apps down and only open them up, uncompress them when they need to. So that's kind of an interesting move. Easier just to get rid of some bloatware. Get rid of some junk out of that thing, Microsoft. All right, over in Computer World, they're reporting solar in California urban areas could provide 5 times the power the state needs. I think they need to figure out how they're going to get their water first. But photovoltaic panels deployed in urban areas could produce 15,000 terawatts of power per year. It's all good, but we got to figure out a way to put that stuff in batteries, folks, so that when the sun goes down, we can, don't have to crank up the nuclear generators. We got to figure out a way to get this stored so we can run all night on batteries and charge all day. All right, coming down here with the last few, there's a very concerning, and I don't want to get into any type of battle of words or ideology or anything, but there's some new science out from some stuff that was flown on Antarctica, and it's a little bit concerning about specifically the Western Ice Shelf. And we've been being warned about this for years. And obviously, this is going to take a long time for this to affect rising sea levels. It's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. But scientists are now basically saying that the West Antarctica ice shelf, which most of it extends out from land, is now being, for a better word, impacted from the bottom up. And they've been able to use some new technology to see how thick the ice is, and they haven't took water measurements yet, but there's basically concern here that the Western Antarctica shelf could be at high risk. And that's been the case for a long, long time. We'll just have to see where this leads as time goes on. But some pretty deep topic here over on the Washington Post. I have that in the show notes for you to read, and you can interpret the way you want, but potentially here over the next 100 years or so, we could definitely see some rising waters on our coastlines. All right, the trial in San Francisco continues. Kleiner partner Mary Merker says that the firm didn't discriminate against her. She was on the stand on Monday in San Francisco Superior Court in response to allegations by Ellen Powell, a former partner who says she suffered discrimination at the firm in retaliation after she complained. So Meeker marched the party line here and basically said that, she didn't see any of this stuff going on. So anyway, I'll have it's basically he said, she said now in court, and this will continue here for a few more days. T-Mobile has extended its 10 gig free LTE data to prepaid customers, including data rollover for up to a year. So this is good, called Data Stash, which was, of course, announced back in December. It's giving postpaid customers 10 gig of LTE data, free of charge, ability to roll over the unused data month to month for up to a year. As of Sunday, March 22nd, prepaid customers will now get to enjoy the same deal. So that's cool. Very, very cool. Very, very, very cool. So T-Mobile. I've never used a T-Mobile MiFi or anything like that. Anybody use one? How's that worked out? We haven't talked much about Mars One except to kind of follow it from afar. But some Mars ones, people that are getting narrow and narrow in the field, the people that might be selected to go to Mars, well, they say this might be more of a scam. In an article published on Medium's Matter earlier today, Dr. Joseph Rashi, a professor at the Trinity College School of Education in Dublin and PhD in physics and astrophysics, spilled on some of Mars One's many potential pitfalls. Chief among them, some widely sketchy means of funding, as Rashi explains to Matter. He says you get points for getting through each round of the selection process, but just an arbitrary number of points, not anything to do with rankings. And then the only way to get more points is to buy merchandise from Mars One or to donate money to them. In February, finalists received a list of tips and tricks for dealing with press requests, which included this. If you're offered payment for an interview, then feel free to accept it. We do kindly ask that you donate 75% of your profit to Mars One. So they're looking to get money from the believers that they're going to go to Mars. We all know this will never make it to Mars. And it sounds to me like a big ploy, and personally, a big ploy to get cash. And I hope none of you are participating in the selection process to go to Mars. In financial news, Uber CFO Brent Calasinos is stepping down. He's going to stay on as an advisory company, but no replacement has been named. And final article tonight, the anti-robot protests at South by Southwest got tons of publicity, and it was all a hoax. Even worse, it was an actual viral marketing stunt for a dating app called... Oh, so yeah, just a marketing ploy. And the news people fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. But, it makes for a good headline. Students protesting autonomous robots, gaining self-awareness. All right, let's go here. Let's go to the email comments for tonight. And let's see what we have. I'm waiting for it to load. A little behind the power curve here. So the last show was on what date? Was on the 12th. I know I got a couple more emails in here. One from Bree. Here we go. Two things, Bree says. Todd, please read the comments you received received to former Secretary of State email comments on Facebook. Todd, please read the comments you received to your former Secretary of State email comments on Facebook. Also, where are all the complaints on this during 9/11? And then the Secretary of State, who also had his own email server for his own emails. That's true. Where was it? I didn't know, or we'd have definitely been calling it out, Bree. Still, and she talks about the prize for the 1,000 show. It is coming. It is coming, Bree. Promise. Got an email, and I'll go to my Facebook comments here in a little bit, so that you guys can know what she's talking about here. Melvin says, Melvin, I thank you for your email. This is great. He says, Apple, I agree with you on the new MacBook. Only one port, not a motivator to buy. Google just came out with a new version of their Chromebook Pixel, and they have two USB-C ports and two USB 3 ports, an SD card slot, plus touchscreen $9.99 for i5 version, $12.99 for i7. Hopefully, future Macs will have two or more USB-C ports, continue with USB 3, SD card slot, and more. To me, the more ports built in, the better. Having the AC cord connected to USB-C is a waste if you keep your Mac computer plugged in all of the time. Apple Watch, he says, I'll pass. Cord cutting. Been a cord cutter since 2011. I watch most of my TV content online or OTA with an antenna. The only paid online subscription I have is Amazon Prime because you only pay $99 annually, and in the addition to streaming video, you also have streams for 1 million plus songs, albums, Kindle Relending library, photos, cloud storage, and free shipping. That said, you can find all kinds of free things, streaming video on demand, legal content online at many sources, including Hulu, Crackle, Snag Films, the 5 broadcast networks, ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, PBS, CW, etc. Check the webpage for many legal streaming and VOD sources. So it's basically at killcablebill.com/TV channels. He goes on to say, great show. I usually listen through the newsletter link or Stitcher on my iOS device or Chromebook. So let me go ahead here and real quick here. How are we doing for time? So I want to get this segment in Facebook because I made this comment on Facebook and I'll read it to you guys. Of course, I wasn't logged in. Okay, so let me go to my post, and I got to go back a few days. So we've got the Dell XPS post. We've got the rock picker. I went to Honolulu. I was at the Honolulu Museum of Art on Sunday. Beautiful. And my son was at the prom Friday. Okay, so this is kind of more me ranting. I said, call me not surprised. This is why the Secretary of State of the United States of America, who communicates with the President of the United States of America and U.S./foreign officials far and wide, should never, ever have been allowed to run a personal email server. I bet in the end, every single email in that box was compromised. This is talking about the security report that I talked about in the show about how it was not secured with an SNL certificate and a variety of other things. Can any of us even imagine having an email conversation with the president on a personal email server in our home for official business? Hackers are having a field day in showing how stupid, irresponsible, and arrogant they really are. Simply cannot even fathom this in my wildest dreams. If you don't like Fox, here's a third party that rips the security to shreds of the Clintons' email server. Now, the comments get hot and heavy immediately, and this goes bipartisan right away. Brett says, agree, pretty bizarre and stupid and reckless. She was thinking, acting like an attorney first. I remember the days of the Clinton administration where the rule was not to write notes during meetings as much as possible. Seems like this was probably inspired by a similar drive not to leave a record. That said, I think also this, like Colin Powell's email lapse at state, probably aren't a big deal. Secure messages go through a different system anyway. Well, a good analyst could put together a pretty good picture of the goings and comings of the Secretary of State, which could be a security risk for the Secretary of State. I doubt much else of value is really in here. I do expect this to change as the generation of 60-something leaders move on and replaced with leaders and executives that can barely recall living and working without email. Then Michael goes on to say, hey, let's talk about foreign donations to foundation, raise major ethical questions. Then Neil kicks in, I don't know, I'll still say I'd trust a single basement server run by a competent IT person over a .gov system. Neil says, also, 3 months of no cert, and after that, everything secured properly. Really, that's a giant bombshell. One word, sensationalist. I go on to say, still illegal. She's above the law. And then Paul, which is a guy here in Hawaii who's really left, he says, Todd, really, what did she break? Stupid, I agree. Every single email compromise, I take that bet. I said, Paul, please, I'm sure you fall under State of Records Act because Paul works for State of Hawaii. Federal employees are under the same rules. They have this thing called Freedom of Information Act, among other rules. Public companies play under Sarbanes-Oxley. So don't try to say she did not break laws. She broke many. An average person would be prosecuted. Now, what she did is she broke policy. I don't think there's a specific law she broke, even though there was directives before. And then after she left being Secretary of State, the president came out with several memos saying, do not use personal. You have to use the government system. So, that's maybe where I'm a little bit off. But I'm just basically saying she's by breaking the law, I felt that she was trying to cover things up. Then someone comes in really far right, says, like, actually, this is why she should be disqualified president of the U.S. It's a disgrace, and links more back to this foreign policy stuff. And maybe not far right, but right. And I talked about some bulletins that were put up. And I talked about the president's memo reaffirming email records recently after she left office. And basically, here's my justification. It said it would have been a violation of NARA, which is rules in the Federal Code of Federal Regulations for the Secretary of State to use personal email exclusively. The code requires federal agency make and preserve records that dully document agency activities so that they're readily available and needed, such as FOIA requests and congressional inquiries. Using personal email exclusively is contrary to proper record preservation. Neil goes on to say, Todd, it looks at all these information post-Clinton being SOS, does it not? Which is true, but there was still freedom of information government policy in place prior to, although I don't think it made it illegal. So I want to be clear on that. I might have been a little off there, but does not clear her of Federal Records Act, which has been in place since the 50s with email language for many years, does not change the fact that it's trying to hide what she's doing from the citizens of this country. Neil comes back, it says it kind of does. The act wasn't fully updated until after her time in office. Now, it's quite possible she was violating the spirit of the act, but not the wording that didn't specifically address email until after her service. She also did turn over emails, we presume, as requested. Is there some giant bombshell waiting in this scandal? Most likely not. Was it sketchy and unethical behavior? Absolutely. Bree goes on to say, I was going to add the Colin Powell bit, but Paul L. already did so. So that's true. That was kind of the end of the commentary on Facebook. But, here's the thing. This is what it boils down to. The folks on the left think it's okay. Folks on the right think it's bad. And when it's for a Democrat. And then when it's a Republican office, when the guys on the right think it's good and the guys on the left thinks it's bad. So let's just stop doing it. If you're working for the government, you should be using government email. That is the whole point. And it just looks funny. And but my whole argument was, and at the beginning, was that having a personal email server in one's home or business and communicating to the President of the United States with official government business, to me, I feel would jeopardize the President, jeopardize Secretary of State, jeopardize foreign leaders. It just makes me go, wow. It really does. Politics aside. All right. We're at the end of the show, and I'm really long here, so thanks for being here. And we'll see all kinds of shenanigans like this over the next 10 years. There's no doubt that as technology gets better and people don't want to hide, they want to hide stuff, they're going to try to do so by, not necessarily complying completely with things they should be doing, and they're going to do things they shouldn't. It's just the nature of the game. But it's our job to, get rid of all of them. Get rid of the whole batch. Replace them all. Remove and replace. Rinse and repeat. All right, folks. Thanks for being here. It's been my pleasure bringing the show. Be back with you on Thursday here in Hawaii. But again, next week will be 2 shows on the road. But look forward to hearing you guys' commentary. I hope you guys liked today's show. If you did, become an insider. We want you to support this show financially. $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, $25 a month. Every penny counts and helps us fulfill the mission of bringing great content to you here at Geek News Central. Of course, all of our partner shows. Again, definitely check out The Elder Vide. Check out Robot Underpants, The Gadget Professor, of course, the new media show, and of course, all my special event feeds as well. But thanks for being here. Thank you for your support and your ongoing hanging out with me here for an hour 15, hour 20, twice a week. If you're brand new to the show, that's kind of how it rolls here. I hope that you enjoyed today's podcast, and I hope that you come back for another episode. Everyone, share this with your family, friend, members, people that you know. This is the way we build the audience, is by networking. And you got to tell them how cool or how corny this dude is that destroys the English language every Monday and Thursday. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha.